fast, efficient and affordable business-grade hosting solutions, domain registration, SSL certificates and more. We also monitor and provide website security and update services, website builds, email hosting, amongst other sensational products. If you have a question about your web page or your presence on the internet in general, no job is too big or too small. Visit our website today, or better yet, contact us at blueoceanwebhosting.com.au and leave your website issues to us.
Big ones, little ones, fiddly ones, powerful ones. The ones for the car or the truck, caravan, boat, mobility scooter, solar system. In fact, for any kind of battery, go straight to Battery Central Ipswich. They'll even help you when you know what you need to power but have no idea what'll do the job. Battery Central Ipswich, 280 Brisbane Street, West Ipswich, in the yellow building. Expert advice, better batteries, best prices every day. That's Battery Central Ipswich.
Welcome to episode 762 of the Aussie Tech Heads. I'm Jason Oakley and this is Will Tompkinson. Hey, Will.
I am. How'd you know?
Oh, it's a guess.
It's only taken you like 300 episodes to finally figure it out.
300? Have we done that many?
I have no idea. I've been here for 500 and something, so I don't know how long you've been here.
No, I don't know. It seems like forever.
It's because it has been forever. Well, almost like this far short of forever.
Forever, yeah, almost.
So
how are things going up there?
Wet, although it's not as we're still getting rain overnight, so that's helping. That's helping with the mold. Finally got a call from my insurer.
Oh.
They just rang me to see if anybody was if we urgently needed help and the place wasn't livable. And I'm like, it's been like 2 weeks. It's a bit late to be asking if there's any urgent assistance needed now. So anyway, I had a chat to them and I said, no, the only thing that I need help with, like, sooner rather than later is my carport, which is all asbestos.
Yep.
So that's the only thing that's going to be, like, I'm currently stripping out the granny flat, getting all that emptied out, all the VJ off the walls and all the insulation out. It's all starting. Luckily, I'm doing it, like, I had the aircon on for a week because I knew I wouldn't be able to get to it because I had to go down to Lismore and organise all that sort of stuff. So I had the aircon on for a week, which dried it out a fair bit.
Yep.
Luckily, because otherwise it would have been far worse than it is. But everything's got mold on it. Like, you look at the bed, you can see like little mushrooms growing on it, and then the lounge, the leather's green now instead of black. And so,
I saw people on Facebook saying, watch out if you're in that area and working on your house, there's going to be a lot of asbestos and don't touch it if you see it.
This is an old area, yeah. My shed was built in, I think the block was settled in like 55, something like that. And that carport was put in as their temporary living quarters while they're building the house.
Oh, right.
This particular house I'm in now, the original house burnt down in like 78 or something.
Yep.
So this is rebuilt, but the shed's the original shed from the first time around. And it's all asbestos and lead paint. It's fine.
All the good stuff.
The thing is with asbestos, if it doesn't turn to, like, it's the dust you've got to worry about.
Yep.
The asbestos itself, you can lick it and it won't hurt you. Yep. But it's the dust that you've got to be careful of. So,
if you're
like at the moment, even though it's moldy, the fact that the asbestos is moldy is actually less of a risk than me trying to tear it apart. So I'm just going to go in there, take all my stuff out. Then in a couple of weeks when the crew comes, they can just rip all the guts out of it. And
new shed? The
problem is they're going to rip all the guts out of it. The shed's going to fall down because it's literally only the fiberboard holding it together at this point.
Oh, jeez.
And according to the insurance manifesto I was reading, before they can make repairs to a property, they have to bring it up to code.
Oh.
So I'm thinking that they're not going to do that, and they're just going to offer me a payout because it's going to cost them far more to bring it up to code than that you could buy a new shed for half the price it would cost to do that. So that'll be interesting. But so I've thrown out beds and cupboards and lounges, and there's a heap of other stuff I've got to go through. Like all the books are all moldy. They smell moldy. They're starting to grow mold.
Yep.
So all the books, I've got to take photos of each individual IMEI number on the ISDN number on them, and ISDN,
IBN.
IBM. Yeah,
IBM. Panasonic, Hitachi, doesn't matter.
So I'm going to take a photo of all those numbers, go through, look them all up on Amazon, find out what the cost is so I can catalogue it all, so I can just scan them and
International
list at the end of it.
Standard Book Number.
Yeah. See, IBM. ASIC, GST or something. And so I've got to do that with that. I've got to do it with my DVDs because I didn't know this, but I knew porous surfaces like timber, plasterboard, fabrics, obviously, paper, that sort of stuff. Once mold got into it, you couldn't get it out.
Anything organic, yeah.
But I was unaware that plastic is actually worse.
Too porous.
The spores will actually get into the plastic that you won't even be able to see it or smell it because the plastic masks it.
Oh.
And then if you say spray like CD and DVD covers, you spray them with like vinegar to kill it.
Yep.
Well, that's the droplets are too big to get into the spores, so it actually won't affect them. And then 3 months later, your DVD shelf's blooming.
Oh. And then everything else does, of course.
Yeah. So I got to do that and all the. Basically all the cupboards, all the kitchen cupboards that are in there.
Yep.
The water, like for 3 days after the water went down, there was water seeping out from underneath the kitchen cupboards under the kickboard.
Jeez.
So that's obviously going to be an issue. And
how about your dad and them down at Lismore?
So Dad, did I tell you that? I can't remember. I don't even know what week we're up to. When did I go down there? Did I tell you I went down there? Is that a thing?
Yeah, you had to take 100 litres of petrol and...
Yeah, was that this Sunday just gone? Yeah. I don't know. It's been the last 2 weeks have been a blur. So we went down to Lismore, which is part of the reason I have only just started on my shed because I've been down there last week, and I took down 100 odd litres of fuel and vinegar, like 100 litres of vinegar, and bottled water and stuff, because obviously. They didn't have any of that down to my family, so that at least I could help most of my family out.
Yep.
And Dad. Well, I say Dad. Like most of my family is homeless down there. There's houses that, like as I said, my auntie and uncle had a house that was built a foot above the 74 level. And it was over 2 meters under from that level. Yeah, it's the biggest flood I've ever seen. And so houses that people were evacuated to and areas that people went to went underwater.
Yeah.
Because it was so high. Like one of the evacuation centres at St. Cart's School, which has never in the history of the town even been cut off, let alone go underwater. The hall that they were in started going underwater.
Oh, jeez.
And that was where they sent most of the elderly patients from, like the
nursing homes and stuff.
The nursing homes and stuff. So they had a hall full of, I don't want to say invalid, but people that are hard to move.
Yep.
And by now, everything else is cut off, and they have to try and get them into boats now.
Yeah.
Like, it was insane. And just to top it all off, like it rained. They had some ridiculous amount down there a couple of days ago, which in some respects was good because it washed a lot of the mud away that was on the streets and stuff. So it did actually clean up some things, but it brought the water table back up again. There's like a lot of streets they can't even repair at the moment because the streets are basically floating on top of the gravel. The bitumen's effectively floating.
Oh, cool.
But there's massive big potholes that will swallow your car, but they can't fix them because the street's floating.
Yeah.
I've never seen, I've been through a lot of floods down there, but no, I can't even, if you're not used to seeing floods normally, it's hard enough. But when you're used to seeing floods, this is a whole nother level. It's like there's a house on top of the skating rink. The skating rink is a 30-foot tall steel shed.
Yeah.
And there's a 2-story house on top of that.
God. That is nuts.
So you have to imagine how much volume of water was above that shed to get a 2-story house to float on top of it.
Yeah.
Like,
That's nuts.
And a lot of the town's not coming back. The bowling alley's not coming back. The workers' club's not coming back. There's what else? Oh, there's the skating rink they might not bring back. The library, both stories of the library is underwater, and it's an old library, had a lot of old books in there.
Yep.
And they're all paper mache now. You know, like the antique store is like, I don't know if I bother coming back. It's not like I can just find another, $50,000 worth of antiques floating around somewhere to put in my store.
They were literally floating around.
Yeah, yeah, well.
But I was reading today, they said that usually get 1 or 2 years of La Nina and it's gone, but they reckon it's probably looks like it's going to be coming back again next year, so this is highly likely again, and the banks are not going to be loaning any money to people who are in a place that's been flooded now. Like, you can't get a house.
They did the flood event thing 2 or 3 nights ago to raise money.
Yep.
And they didn't raise that much because people don't want to donate because the last lot of money is still sitting with the charities and they haven't let it go.
For a rainy day.
Yeah. We can't get much more rain. So that's all been happening. And then at work in Ipswich, our shed was fine, but the water came up higher than it's ever come up. And simple things you don't think about, like the traffic lights near my shop haven't worked since the flood because there's apparently, and I didn't know this, apparently there's different versions of traffic light. You know, you see the big green boxes that hold all the stuff.
Yep.
Well, ones that go underwater, they use the old school mechanical system because it's really easy to fix and change out if something happens.
Just get a blow dryer.
Basically, yeah, they effectively just blow it out and it works.
Yep.
And most of them still use incandescent bulbs instead of LEDs because then you don't need to worry about power adapters, and it just all works. But the one up closer to me is a new digital one because it's never expected to go underwater.
Dope.
And they carry spare parts for these, but they don't carry entire systems for them. So there's like 10 or 15 sets of lights in Ipswich that they just can't fix because they don't have a spare 15 traffic light boxes to replace because they completely fried them, because they're all digital. And they're all sourced with backup power. So it's not like when they lost grid power, they might have saved them because they were powered down and it might have been okay. They were still powered up as they were going underwater because the battery backups kicked in. So, so I completely fried them all. So even stuff like that you don't think about, like, it's been 2 weeks and we still don't have traffic lights, and apparently nobody in Ipswich knows how to use intersections without traffic lights.
Well, no, that won't.
Which makes sense because none of them can use a roundabout. So
what's new, right?
So yes, so it has been fun.
Well, not much has happened here, so I can't add anything for myself.
No, you've had a relatively event-free week, which is actually highly unusual for you.
Yeah. we had a bit of rain, I think, yesterday. That was it.
Yeah, how your bees going?
Bees, yeah, they seem to be doing pretty well.
No, that's all right.
Still hanging out, doing their stuff.
Yeah, the native bees are really fussy. Like if they don't want to be there, you'll know about it.
Be there.
Yeah, I see what I did.
Remember my shirt? The bees are happy.
Yeah, that's right. Like your new mug, Jason.
Yeah, I have to get one. We should thank everybody who donates as well.
Yes, all the people who give us coffee. No, wait, that's not it. Although at the moment I'm drinking coffee, so it's the same thing.
You need to. We're on this time of night, but it won't be too long before we're back in sync again.
Okay.
When I'm in your time zone.
March, April. Well, March.
Yes,
it's April, end of April, isn't it?
Start of April.
Sorry. Yeah, end of March. So it's only, 2 weeks or a week and a half?
Something like that. Hooray.
Something like that. Yeah. So that'll make life a bit easier. We won't be, it's going on for 11 o'clock down there now. So
yep.
It's past your bedtime, old man.
Oh, I'll see you tomorrow then.
Yeah, we'll just take off. We'll just start here tomorrow and be done with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so our Patrons, our coffees, PayPal guys, a couple of people are direct depositing. The people are spending the guys. There's a couple of people spending a whole lot of time sending me letters with cutout bits of newspaper and letters and stuff. And the problem is they're asking me for things. They're supposed to be giving me
You
things.
got nothing.
Yeah, I know. And they're like, give me all your money. I'm like, you've got it all.
Yeah. Did you see they had a partisan bill called the Sunshine Protection Act in the US, and the senators unanimously approved a measure that could make daylight saving time permanent across the country next year. No more switching clocks, more daylight hours to spend outside after school and after work, and more smiles. It's just got to pass the last. Has to pass the House.
Well, I mean, they tried it in Australia a couple of years ago, and everyone said no.
No.
Because there's too much variance. Like, it's okay in Queensland, it works, but in Victoria, in the middle of summer with daylight saving, it's 11 o'clock outside, and you can still read a book.
It's also 11 o'clock inside at the same time.
Oh, shut up. No, it's not. Not if you live in. I always wonder what happened to the people who live in like Tweed. It must be really painful.
Yeah.
Especially if you don't like your work, 3 meters that way,
Yeah.
So you got to get up at 6 to be at work by 9.
Yeah.
And you only work 300 meters down the road.
Yeah. I saw somebody did a cartoon that was on Twitter, and there were two cowboys, and they're like, "We'll settle this tomorrow at noon." And then one of them's walking down the street with a box, and the other guy shoots him and goes, "It's not noon yet." It's not noon yet. He goes, "Yeah, it is because we had daylight savings last night."
Oh dear. It's like that Red Dwarf episode where Crichton's the cowboy.
Mm.
This is something my clock was it. He shoots him and it doesn't have any effect, and he's like, "Oh, that's right, my watch is fast or something." And then like 3 minutes later, you see the guy just fall over.
Yeah.
I think that was that episode, or was it Tripping the River? I don't know, it was something. Anyway.
One of those, yeah.
It's one of those really weird shows that people probably shouldn't watch.
But we do.
Because they're addictive and you can't stop watching them once you start.
Awesome. You got some
Somebody
news?
asked me today, they said, what's your favourite TV show? I'm like, seriously, one?
One.
I'm like, I can't do one. I can do
There's a lot of good ones.
like 15 maybe if I'm really pushed.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, all right, let's kick this camel.
I figure.
Yeah, I was going to say, what's the camel sound like? Hang on. So the good old NBN strikes again. The Australian Competition and why don't they just write ACCC? Everyone knows what it is at this point. The Australian Competition and Consumer Commission has gone some way to answering the question of what is worse than being on the NBN when it comes to full fibre. The latest instalment of the Measuring Broadband Australia report, NBN alternative fibre connections sold by Unity under its LBN Co and Opticom monikers, were included for the first time, albeit with sample size of only 40 lines. The report said busy hours download speed on Unity were 101.6% of planned speeds, while NBN full fibre could hit 103%. There was a similar story for upload speeds, with Unity lines reporting 88% of planned speeds and NBN lines hitting 91%. I don't think either of those are acceptable, honestly. Unity lines also had a higher outage rate, but this is mostly due to a pair of apartments having a high number of outages. I guess when you've got small lines, the one outage skews the numbers a lot more. On the upside, latency for Unity was half of NBN, with the average Unity lines having 4.5 milliseconds and 4.8 at busy times. So if you're a gamer, it's worth it.
Go for Unity Opticom.
Elsewhere in the report, ACCC was happy to claim credit for boosting download speeds on fixed wireless, with users seeing 80% of planned speeds in busy hours compared to 68 a year ago. The welcome boost is all because ACCC remains determined to continue testing network speeds at the top of the stack, while NBN itself is a layer 2 provider. The improvement in download speeds is due to the change NBN Co made in July 2021, which allowed 15% over-provisioning allowance on the download component of NBN fixed wireless plans. Some retail providers have passed on this change to their customers. As for fixed wireless upload speeds, they are heading backwards compared to a year ago, with only 49% of speed plans able to be obtained. And there's no upstream over-provisioning, which is part of the reason that only 50% are able to be obtained.
Yep.
Out of the 12,066 boxes used to perform measurement on the report, it's not really a big sample size if you think about it, is it?
No.
Sorry, not 12,000, 1,266.
Oh.
That must be like 1% of users or something.
Yeah.
So realistically, they're testing a pretty small sample size. Aussie Broadband has the highest number of underperforming lines at the moment, which leads to Aussie Broadband looking as though it provides the slower speeds until those lines are excluded and is able to jump ahead of the Superloop. Yeah, but that's not... So that makes it sound like Aussie Broadband is underperforming.
Yep.
They're not. The problem is the lines they're on are shared lines with other providers.
They can't do enough about that.
Obviously, if Telstra's sharing that line, they're going to prioritise their service. So it's not really Aussie Broadband's fault that they got shared lines. Like, that's the NBN's mismanagement of lines. So I bet you if they measured their own fibre, their black web or their dark web that they
Rolling out in Sydney and that.
dark fibre, sorry, that they rolled out in Sydney and Melbourne and all those places, I bet you that's faster than anybody else's.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so basically the NBN's still garbage, but it's slightly less garbage than it was.
Yeah.
So,
And if you don't like it, go to the other guys.
what they
But they probably
say,
won't be
the
able to
worst... Nah.
What? You're really having trouble with words tonight, aren't you?
It's too much. It's either too much coffee or not enough coffee. I'm not sure. It's one of those two things.
Have some more and we'll see what happens.
Highest underperforming lines. The highest underperforming lines excluded. The fastest. What? Hang on. They're missing. They're either missing words or they can't. That's us. Okay, they've cut off half a paragraph here. They're starting at the middle of the paragraph. The fastest ISPs, apparently, and I don't believe this for a second, is Exetel. There is no way. Well, actually,
At least they didn't say Toto.
The reason Exetel is fast is because they don't have any customers.
Yeah.
So they got heaps of provisioning. Because I was on Exetel for a week.
Yep.
And it was the worst week of my life. I was on there. No, I was on it for their month, and then I rang them up and said cancel the plan because you absolutely, literally in that month I was with them. I looked at my usage report, and I actually managed to connect to it for like a day out of a month. And I said, "Yeah, give me a refund, give me money back, go away."
Yep.
It then took them 3 months to churn my service.
Oh, wow. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. So I went to Aussie Broadband, and they said, "Oh, they're not releasing your line for churning." I said, "Well, they don't really have a choice." They're like, "No, but unfortunately, there's nothing we can do. It's up to them when they do it."
Oh. Was that DSL?
No, that was NBN.
Because NBN, you've got two
Really
lines
early
in.
on.
You can switch from one to the other, and that's what I did when I went from Sky Mesh to Aussie. They both of them were provisioned at the same time, and they just said unplug from there, plug in there, and the other one will eventually drop off.
I think this is back before that was a thing. This is like the first NBN box I got, which didn't have two. What do they call
They're supposed to have
one?
two voice lines and two network lines.
Two NTDs, yeah. No, the original NBN boxes I got when I was at Acacia Ridge. No, I wasn't. I was at Bundaber. They only had one voice line, one NTD.
Oh, okay.
They came back like 6 months later.
Yep.
And gave me a different box.
Oh, okay.
But I think the first ones they rolled out, because it didn't have the fibre input either.
Right.
It was only for the copper input, and then they were starting to roll out fibre, so they came back, put fibre in our street, and then when they did that, they gave me the new box.
Oh, okay.
Even though I was technically on NBN, because they couldn't have ADSL because NBN was provisioned. I think it was, honestly, probably just an ADSL router.
Yeah.
But yeah. And so at the time, Aussie Broadband couldn't churn my line because Exetel wouldn't release it, even though I wasn't paying for it.
Yeah.
So they just gave me a 4G dongle and said, "There you have at it."
Good on them.
In the meantime, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, so good to see the NBN still failing miserably.
We'll
It's
keep
not like it's
doing
cost
it.
us money or anything.
No. Netflix will soon launch a test letting primary account holders pay an additional fee for users outside of their households, a new attempt by the company to address illicit password sharing. According to the Netflix terms of service, a customer's account may not be shared with individuals beyond your household. After years of turning a blind eye to password sharing behaviour that falls outside of the requirement, the company last year ran a limited test prompting users to enter their account credentials as a way to nudge freeloaders into paying for their own accounts. Now in an upcoming test launching in 3 countries, Chile, Costa Rica and Peru, Netflix will let members who share their accounts with people outside the household to do so easily and securely while also paying a bit more. According to Chen Yilong, Director of Product Innovation at Netflix, the new options will roll out in the next few weeks in the 3 countries and may or may not expand beyond those markets. We've always made it easy for people who live together to share their Netflix account with features like separate profiles and multiple streams in our standard and premium plans, they wrote in a blog about the test. While these have been hugely popular, they've also created some confusion about how and when Netflix can be shared. As a result, accounts are being shared between households, impacting our ability to invest in great new TV and films for our members. With the Add an Extra Member feature, members with Netflix standard and premium plans will be able to add subsidiary accounts for up to 2 people they don't live with, each with their own profile, personalised recommendations, login and password, for less than the cost of a separate Netflix plan. In addition, Netflix is testing out the ability to let subscribers transfer user profiles to new accounts, which would make it easier for password moochers to pay for their own plans. Members in the 3 test countries can allow people who share their account to transfer profile information either to a new account or an extra member sub-account, preserving their viewing history, my list, and personalised recommendations info. I saw somebody had said on Twitter that they didn't know that their ex-flatmate was still using their Netflix because their ex-flatmate, when they created an account, logged into their account and created a new profile called the profile settings.
Mm.
And then put a little cog as
Yeah, I saw that.
and they're like, I just realised this is the profile page of this guy. And there was another one where somebody had said, I just saw that Netflix is putting prices up. I really hope God be with you, person who is paying for my Netflix, and I hope you can afford it.
I mean, I have many questions, but like, I didn't think you could use, like, if you've got, depending on your account, but you can have 2 or 3 devices logged in at the same time.
Yep.
But like, how does it matter if? So this is what I don't understand. They go, oh, you can have 3 devices logged in at the same time as long as they're 3 devices you own and are in your house. I'm like, hang on, but if I'm at work, like, I'm not going to set up a separate account to have a work account.
No.
From a friend's place and he doesn't have Netflix and I do, I'm not going to sign him up to have an account just so I can watch Netflix at his place.
Yeah. And then sign out. I mean, when I went to sign up for Amazon Prime to get movies and stuff a few months ago, I hadn't clicked on the Amazon Prime app in my PlayStation for a couple of years. And when I went to log in there, it goes, hello, and it had my sister's name on there because she logged in when she was visiting, so she could watch all the shows that she liked, and I didn't have any Amazon Prime back then, so her account was still on there, so I could have gone, oh, well, screw paying Amazon, I'll just use her account, but I ended up getting mine because I want to use the Prime and other things on there.
Yeah, but I don't understand how having, like, me going to a friend's place and logging in there and watching it from there is any different than me watching it from home, or somebody else at home watching it whilst I'm over there watching it. Like, the whole argument falls apart as soon as you apply logic to it.
They just don't. They just want your dad or brother or whatever to get their own account, try and make more money, but they keep putting the price up anyway.
They put the price up anyway, but the thing is that that's not going to happen because people who are not paying for it now aren't going to pay for it because you want them to.
No, they're not going to. They want you to pay more for your account to support them.
Yeah. So they're either going to just not use it anymore, which is going to dramatically, affect what your users are watching and how many people are watching something, and whether or not
numbers.
it's, and they're going to go to something like, movies.do or something like that, where you pay your $20 a year and you can literally watch everything.
Yeah, I saw
you can have unlimited logins with that.
Somebody on Reddit was saying they decided to cancel all of their subscriptions to all the streaming service, and they'll sign up for Netflix for 3 months, binge watch all the shows they want there, cancel the account, sign up for Amazon for 3 months, binge watch all the shows they want there, cancel it, sign up to Disney Plus for 3 months, and then back to Netflix, and then
yeah,
it's ridiculous. Too many services and stuff all over the place.
And it really is like we're doing the whole, we went from pay TV or normal TV where we had 5 channels.
I had 2.
And then, well, you're back in the old days. 10 and ABC. Or it was
7.
0, actually.
7 and ABC for us.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Mm.
We wanted NBN because they had all those Saturday morning cartoons. We didn't get any.
And then they started, once digital TV came out, you suddenly had the same, 5 free-to-airs, but each one of those had their own 5 sub-channels. So now you had like 25 channels with most of them being exactly the same as each other.
Yep.
They're slightly different now. They finally realised they can actually put different shows on them.
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
back in the day,
who would have thunk that?
Yeah, I know, right? And then you've got Foxtel and the 47 different flavours of Foxtel that you can have. And so you've already got a million different possibilities within all those. And then you've got, as you said, Netflix and Amazons and all those sort of things. And so and Disney and
Hulu. And...
and there's you're getting back to that whole who wants to manage 8 different accounts. I just want to watch a show.
Yeah.
Just give me a central subscription service and let me watch a show.
Yep.
And you deal with who gets the money. Not my problem. I don't care. I just want to watch a show.
Yeah. I think that's why, like my Google TV adapter, and I think Apple TV probably does it as well. When you load up the Google TV, it's got all the services listed, and you just press the button on there for the assistant and go stream Snowpiercer TV series, and it figures out which network you've subscribed to might have it, but then some things are on none of the networks that you've got or any of the other ones, and then you might have to pay for it through there, or it might not even exist as something to watch. I wanted to watch something like a week ago, and I looked, there's websites you can go to that list them. I think Finder has got some as well, and it's like, where can I stream this online? And then you want to pay for it, or you want to rent the movie for $10 for 1-2 nights or something, and it just it's not on any network in Australia at all. So you're like, what? Movies.do or torrent. That's the only.
They're supposedly all starting to be cracking down on VPNs now.
Yeah.
They're supposed to be not working with VPNs, a lot of them now. So, it's not like you can. Canada's got the biggest Netflix catalog.
Yeah.
You'd think it'd be America, but no, Canada does. So a lot of Americans are using VPNs to watch Canadian TV.
That's pretty good, eh?
But yeah, it's like, that's why I go to movies.do, because it literally, you might have to wait a day or two for some of the latest episodes to be uploaded.
Yeah.
But it literally has, I don't think I have nothing. Wow. I don't think there's anything on I've looked for that hasn't been there.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Yeah, too much fragmentation. It's got to come back to a simple point of service, and it's just like they're making everything else easy. You can use Google Pay, and you can have 12 different ways to pay, but at the end of the day, you walk up, swipe your Google Pay, and it works.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how it happens in the back end. They get their money. They work all that out. You just pay for the product.
Yeah.
And it's the same sort of thing, whereas it just gives me a list of stuff. I go, oh, well, it's that. And then it goes, oh, that's through Netflix or Amazon. We'll just give them their 3 cents an episode or whatever and be done with it.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Speaking
of Google, well, we won't, but speaking of Google, Google's announced it'll be expanding age verification checks to users in Australia who want to access age-restricted content on YouTube and Google Play.
How the heck are they going to do proof?
And the,
Yes, I was born, little Tommy. I was born in 1907. Wait, that's too old. How? 1937.
in the coming months, the search giant will introduce age verification checks where users are asked to provide additional proof of age when attempting to watch mature content on YouTube or downloading content on Play Store. The moves to provide users with age-appropriate experiences, Google Government Affairs and Public Policy Senior Management Samantha York explained. As part of the process, some Australian users may be asked to provide additional proof of age when attempting to watch mature content on YouTube or downloading content on Google Play. If our systems are unable to establish that a viewer is above the age of 18, we'll request they provide valid ID or a credit card to verify their age. Google considers a valid ID is issued by a government such as driver's license or passport. The company is sure that if a user uploads a copy of their ID, it will be securely stored and won't be made public.
So no kid's going to go into Dad's wallet and take a photo of his ID.
Or, it's not sitting scanned on my desktop because I have to use it so much.
Right?
It is noted, however, that it will not only use the person's ID to confirm, but also to improve the verification services for Google.
Everyone's just going to log in their kids to all of their accounts and say, look, just use my accounts, because they're going to be like, oh, I want to watch this, and they won't let me watch it. I don't know.
Well, it's...
Right.
Yeah. I'll finish this. And Google said the move is in response to Australian government's Online Safety Restricted Access Systems Declaration 2022. So this is something else they've slipped through, all this COVID crap, which requires platforms to take steps to conform users are over the age of 18 before they can access content that could potentially be inappropriate. Now, here's the thing. Who decides what's potentially appropriate and what's inappropriate? And more than that, I don't know how many times I've gone to a YouTube video that half a dozen commenters have deemed inappropriate, so they've flagged it, which means Google goes, oh, this must be inappropriate for minors. You need age verification. But it's like...
How to fix a car.
Normal. Yeah, it's just like you see worse. You go to the medical section of YouTube, you can see far worse than you can see in non-normal, a lot of paid sites. But they're not age restricted because it's medical information and it's education. But you get somebody who shoots a gun and teaches you gun safety. Well, it's age restricted material.
Yeah.
So it's just a load of crap.
And who's going to? Google has finally found the answer. We want people to sign up for the Google YouTube Premium. Nobody's doing that. They're all ignoring us. Every time you log in there, it's like, get the premium. What, you want the premium? You sure you want the premium? You can't. No, I don't. No. Okay. Just give us your credit card to prove your age.
Yeah, exactly.
We got your credit card. Yeah.
Well, they've already got mine because I use Google Pay anyway. Because I use ChargeFox and stuff for the van, which is charging points automatically deduct your credit card. It's done through Google Pay. So
I got Google Pay on there and Fitbit Pay on this.
But the dumb part is, like, I've got Cam's tablet is child locked. So if he wants to install an app or he wants to do anything that's not preset, it sends a request to my phone and I can approve or deny it. Yep. Or I can scroll through, see exactly what he's been on, how long he's been on it, all that usual stuff. But half the channel, because YouTube made this stupid transition a couple of years ago in their YouTube channels and what they call child or kid channels, kid content channels versus content that's kid friendly. So if you mark your content, like we could do it with Aussie Tech Ed, technically it's kid friendly content, but if I mark it as, is it aimed at kids? One, you can't monetize it, which doesn't matter because I'm monetized anyway. But it disables comments, it disables likes and dislikes, it disables interaction. And so because ours is marked it's not marked as made for kids content, on the YouTube's kids app, he can't access it. So he can't watch Aussie Tech Eds on the app because it's not marked as made for kids. So you go to Chrome and you go to YouTube on Chrome and you log in with the same credentials you've just used to log into your Gmail into YouTube Kids, and you have full unrestricted YouTube because it doesn't use the app and it doesn't know that you're a kid, even though your
Same
account
like-
has the date of birth in the account and has been verified by me as a child.
That's nuts.
So
What's
the
the bloody
system's
point?
broken anyway. And they want to introduce. And the other thing is, if they ask you for age verification, if you go to take that video, copy it into an incognito window, and paste it, it will say, it'll just ask you, are you over 18? You click yes, but because you're not logged into an account, it can't verify it, so it just assumes you are.
Yeah, it's like a porn site that way. So I hear.
It's like, so how is any of this going to
No.
change anything other than give yourself a giant collection? Well, they don't need credit card details. They've already got them. Maybe driver's licenses and passports, which are also acceptable.
There you go. They want all your info that you won't normally upload.
And on the back of that, Meta is rolling out parental supervision for tools on Quest and Instagram, claiming it'll allow parents and guardians to be more involved in their teens' experiences. Because parents know that their kids are even on Instagram and TikTok. Parents are like, yeah, that's nice. You're sending you're on the Insta cool thingy. Because when mummy and daddy look up Instagram, they look up like, what color scheme looks best in my kitchen.
Yeah.
Not
Naked celebrities.
yeah. Man, the people who write this stuff need to punch in the throat with a brick wrapped around a fish and a gold bar.
A slice of lemon wrapped around a gold brick.
Yeah, that's it.
Microsoft appears to be testing a new type of ad inside File Explorer in Windows 11. Microsoft MVP and Twitter user Florian Beaubois discovered an ad in the latest test build of Windows 11, prompting users to check out the Microsoft editor. While the ads might have appeared for some Windows 11 users, Microsoft said it was a mistake. You weren't supposed to find out yet. That's what it boils down to.
That's basically.
This was an experimental banner that was not intended to be published externally and was turned off, says Brandon LeBlanc, Senior Program Manager for Windows, in a statement. While the ads weren't intended to be tested externally, it's clear Microsoft is capable of running them inside Windows 11, and the company's brief statement doesn't rule out ads appearing in the File Explorer in the future. This isn't the first time Microsoft has placed ads inside File Explorer either. Software Maker added large banner ad to Windows 10 File Explorer in 2017, promoting subscription options for its OneDrive cloud service. While the ads can be easily dismissed, they're still a frustrating experience in an operating system that's traditionally been ad-free, and you're paying for the damn operating system.
Yeah, it's not like it's a free operating system to start with.
Microsoft has been experimenting with ads inside Windows for a decade now. It also places ads on the Windows 10 lock screen and in the start menu, and there have been plenty of instances with annoying pop-up ads in the taskbar too. Lots of Windows 8 built-in apps also had ads inside them. So this is why you should go to Linux.
Pop OS.
Yeah.
Pop OS. It's really, it really is so damn easy. It's ridiculous. I don't know about you, but I've had such a seamless transition to it. It's
People are like, finally Microsoft is doing something great. They're doing Windows services for Linux. They're letting people do all this really cool stuff. Now they're going to chuck ads on it.
Yeah.
We've got to keep it balanced, right? You can't have it too good in Windows land. There's got to be something that's going to annoy you.
The funny thing is, they're like, oh, we didn't mean to turn that on. That sort of experimental thing. You weren't supposed to see that, and next time we turn it on, you won't see it.
Yeah, and you won't be able to turn it off.
Yeah, they didn't admit that it was a mistake turning it on. They just admitted that you weren't supposed to see it yet.
Yeah.
They literally said, you're not supposed to see this yet.
If they didn't,
which means you are going to see it.
If they didn't write code for it, it couldn't even accidentally appear.
Yeah.
It's
and
deliberate.
If you deliberately turn something that's turned off at rollout won't turn back on unless you turn it on an update.
They're just trying to push people off, aren't they? We'll get sick of it. No, I haven't had any problems. I've been booting into Linux for a few weeks now. All the stuff I've got works. Things that I've got a program, MPAGD, the multi-platform arcade game designer that I do games for the VZ if I don't want to do too much hands-on programming with Turbo Rascal. And I just started it up with a command line that starts with wine and then winagd.exe fires up. Everything works perfect. In fact, I needed for my 4K monitor, Wine's got an option to increase the size of the fonts and the window and everything because it was so tiny.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't realize it's running on a full operating system. So I enabled that, and now I can design all the stuff in there and write the code fine. No problems. I had a couple of other apps that are Windows only that they're not like Steam or anything, so it hasn't even got that behind it. But Wine just runs them perfectly with no problems.
And even a lot of people are using the Steam, the platform that Steam's developed, the Proton platform. They're hacking, well, sort of semi-hacking that, and they're using that because it's such a seamless.
Steamless or seamless?
It's a seamless transition.
Yeah, well, it's got in Steam. You can just click on add non-Steam application.
Yeah. And it literally uses their Proton app, which is pretty damn amazing, actually. It even supports 3D rendering and stuff like that.
Yep.
And a lot of people are literally running Windows from that. Like, that's how capable it is.
Yeah.
You know, I use Windows at work now, and as soon as I get time, I'm going to be swapping over because it's really annoying me lately with all the garbage that's happening. I'm having crashes and having stupid stuff happen, and none of this stuff I just don't have with Pop. Like, it just works. It's just
Wasn't that the Windows whole thing? It just works, and Linux doesn't because it's too fiddly.
And now and it's funny. It's flipped completely now. Linux just works and Windows doesn't.
Yeah.
And it's free.
Yep.
It's updated literally every day. Like, every day there's an update waiting for me to do it.
You can pick whichever one you want. Like, I've had Elementary OS, which is kind of Mac-like interface. The Pop OS is kind of Windows/Mac interface.
Windows Pop OS is very familiar. It really doesn't take long to figure out. It just feels.
And it's got a built-in
familiar.
store, so you don't have to go searching for your programs, which even the Windows store is terrible. And the Pop OS one has got it built in. You just click on the store, type in what you want to search for, hit install. Bang, it's installed. You don't have to download dependencies. You don't need this program that depends on that one, and then this over here, and that's out of date, and everything. They've got Flatpak and the software stuff, and it just all works.
And I mean, I've tried a lot. Like, I've tried Mint, I've tried Pup, I've tried standard Ubuntu and Fedora, and I've tried a whole heap of them. And KDE and Genome and
Ubuntu as well, because they did a crossover.
Yeah, and Pi Linux, and there's just so many variations. I've tried a lot because I've wanted to switch to Linux for the longest time, but I just haven't found an operating system that just works. Like, especially because I've got AMD with now that I've got the MSI, like the Radeon and the AMD, it's fine because that's not an issue. But on my other system prior to this one, it was all Intel.
Yep.
And most of those don't support decent 3D rendering because they won't release their drivers, basically.
Yep.
On the what's the name, on the graphics cards.
Yep. NVIDIA doesn't open source their drivers, but they got a driver for Linux. So I've got the NVIDIA specific version of Pop OS, which runs fine.
I was actually reading why it works so well compared to other versions where you load Linux and then you put the graphics driver on.
Yep.
But it still loads the base graphics drivers before it loads the other ones.
Yep.
On the NVIDIA specific version of Pop, they actually remove the default graphics drivers and load in the other ones before it even installs, so that they're actually loaded to start with. And it just makes it so much more efficient, apparently.
What happened to that group that had got the NVIDIA data and they weren't going to release it unless they open sourced their drivers 2 weeks ago?
Yeah,
Come on, you guys. You're a bit down on the ball. We were depending on you as our last resort.
So, but yeah, I mean, I've been wanting to switch to ages because Windows has been bugging me for at least 2 years, really, but the last 12 months particularly.
Yep.
And I just haven't found a smooth transition experience. I found like they almost do almost everything I want them to do, but none of them would literally do everything. And this literally does everything. Like there's absolutely nothing.
Yep.
There's nothing on here that hasn't worked. Maybe with a couple of things I've had literally like 2 mouse clicks to make them work. I've had to right click on and go into settings and go run as a program because it's an unrecognized file, so it doesn't know what to do with it. So you right click, go properties, and then go click on run as a program, then go okay, then run it, and it runs it. It'll automatically load wine, it'll automatically load whatever it needs to make it happen.
Yep.
And it's just it's amazing. So yeah, so I strong, if you don't want to be putting up with Microsoft's garbage anymore, and it's cool too because it runs obviously OpenOffice and LibreOffice. LibreOffice now is more than just an office suite. You go to the website, the amount of stuff that they're developing is insane. They've got so many programs now. Like they do like a what do they call it? A CRM or whatever it is, a customer management
Database.
software, and there's so much stuff they do now, and it's great because obviously Libre, actually if you're converting docx documents, LibreOffice does a far better job of it than OpenOffice.
So before we do your next news story, then, since you've jumped into my new idea and without knowing, I was thinking of introducing a new show segment, Linux App of the Week, and the one that I chose is LibreOffice. I didn't tell Will.
I didn't know.
He had no idea, but I'm like, since we're already on the track there and he's going on about how great LibreOffice is, yes, I thought every show, I think since we had fans that were mailing in and saying, we love that you do Linux stuff, I thought, why don't we do a Linux App of the Week? Let people know what's out there, because they might be like, well, I would like to switch from Windows because I'm sick of it, but what if I'm at work and I get emails with Word documents and Publisher and Excel and stuff? I don't want to have to go to Google or Microsoft Online. And as Will was saying, LibreOffice is, Libre is Spanish for free anyway, so yeah. LibreOffice is powerful and free office suite, a successor to OpenOffice.org, which was originally based on StarOffice. Used by millions of people around the world, its clean interface and feature-rich tools help you unleash your creativity and enhance your productivity. LibreOffice includes several applications that will make it the most versatile and free and open source office suite on the market. Writer, which is for your word processing, which basically looks and works the same as Microsoft Word. Calc for spreadsheets, Impress for presentations, Draw for vector graphics and flowcharts, Base for databases, and Math for formula editing. LibreOffice is compatible with a wide range of document formats such as Microsoft Word, .doc, .docx, and Excel, XLS, XLSX, PowerPoint, PPT, PPTX, and Publisher. But LibreOffice goes much further with its native support for modern open standard, the Open Document format, which, if you're worried, Microsoft also can read because they joined in with Open Document format system.
They can read it. I don't know if they can write it.
I think they can, yeah.
I know they couldn't originally.
No. With LibreOffice, you have maximum control over your data and content, and you can export your work in many different formats, including PDF. LibreOffice is free and open source software available for everyone to use, share, and modify, and is produced by a worldwide community of hundreds of developers. You can download it for Linux, Mac OS X, or Windows. And if you want to deploy LibreOffice in a business, they strongly recommend sourcing a LibreOffice-based solution from one of the ecosystem partners. That's just so you can get some support if you need it, help with setting it up, because you download and install LibreOffice, and it's not like you've paid $100 for Microsoft support. You can ring them up and go, hey, I don't know how to do this. But if you've got an office, they can actually help you out. And just pop into www.libreoffice.org, Libre Office.
Yeah, and yeah, with a lot of Linux distributions, they come default installed anyway.
Yeah, mine did. It just got an update yesterday, all of the apps for LibreOffice. And was that the thing you were saying recently, that you were trying to remember you wanted a program and it turned out to be a LibreOffice one?
Yeah, that's what I was just talking about. I was going to mention. Microsoft has a program called Microsoft Project, and it's basically a project management, time management, customer management software.
Yep.
And I'm like, okay, yeah, it's nice, but I don't want to. It's one, it's a Microsoft product, so I don't want anything to do with it. But secondly, I want a free thing. I'm not going to be using it that much. I don't want to pay stupid amounts of money to have it. And we looked around, and there was a few, and they kind of all sort of did bits and pieces of what I wanted to do. But then I was scrolling through the list, and I saw Libra. I'm like, hang on a minute. Scrolled back and had a look, and they have a program called Project Libre.
Oh, there you go.
And on the website, it literally says this is our improved version of Microsoft Project. Like it actually says it on their website.
And you know what's an even better product of theirs? Nacho Libre.
Nacho Libre.
Jack Black.
Yeah, I haven't seen that for ages.
I haven't seen that.
Really?
Yep.
That's surprising.
Is it good?
Yeah. I mean, it's not bad. I mean, it's Jack Black. I mean, it's not going to be bad. Like,
No.
but yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, Project Libre. Another cool part about it, it provides, if you want to, it can provide a cloud solution and a desktop. I'm just using the desktop version. I just want a local version of it. I don't want to have to muck around. It can work offline,
Yep.
which the computer I'll be using it on, it will be offline most of the time because it's going to be right on the end of my Wi-Fi, and it seems to work like first thing of a morning and last thing of an afternoon. And during the day, I can't connect.
Until you get Linux on there.
Yeah, but so it does that. It works on the cloud. So if you've got multiple people using it, it syncs between all the different devices, obviously. It's open source. It's a replacement for Microsoft Project. And it's currently ranked number one. It's actually beating Microsoft Project for the amount of users.
Ah, nice.
Currently has 5.6 million desktop downloads. And it's only not been out very long. It's only been out like 9 months or something.
Ah.
So they're doing well there.
Yeah.
And it also has Android support. I don't know. I know it has Apple support through the browser. I don't know if it has an app on the iPhone, but it does have an Android app. And it's really easy to use. I've basically set it up in like 5 minutes. And it's fast. Some of the other ones I was looking at when you're switching between databases and like reopening an existing job to edit the job, some of them took forever because they were almost every single one of them, with a couple of exceptions, were online.
Oh,
they didn't have a local version, which is dumb.
Yep.
But because this is local, it's so fast. But even the online one I tested just out of curiosity, and it loaded the online one almost instantly as well because they don't have any guff in it. It's just a pure database.
Yep.
So another successful project. They're turning into. Do you remember? I think they were called NCR. Like there was a period in time there where you wanted a program and they just had a crippled free version of it that generally did everything you wanted to. I think they were called NCR. I need to look it up now, but there was the same sort of thing. Like, they had like 300 or 400 programs that you could just NCR enough. Digital. Yeah, NCR. They have like so many. Oh, no, it's not NCR. That's very similar to NCR anyway. But and it's the same sort of thing. Libre looks like they're turning into that sort of software now, which everywhere you go, they've got a program that does it, which isn't a bad thing by any means because I don't think I've ever seen a program of theirs that's bad. Yep. They all seem to be fantastic. And it's funny, for years people always thought open source software wasn't possible to be
as good.
One, it wasn't possibly as good, but no one thought that open source software could survive because there's no way you could make income from it.
Yeah.
But like they've got 5.6 million users using that project. Now there are support. You can pay for support. You can pay for priority upgrades. You can pay for certain features that you want multi-seat, you want all this stuff. You can
Yeah.
pay to have those upgrades. So
It's an option,
the businesses and corporations who are using the software, even though they're paying small amounts for support and all this other stuff, they're still coming out way in front compared to buying a closed software. So let's say, let's say 50%. Well, with something like Project, probably 90% of the people using it are companies, because it's primarily based. That's the sort of software it is. So let's say they all take I think the basic support package, which gave you priority email, priority email and something else. I think it was $15 a month or something.
Yep.
Like, let's say you've got 5.6 million users and you've got 5 million users paying $15 a month.
Yep.
They're making money.
Yeah.
So it's not like, close. But that goes to show you how much money Microsoft must be making, because if they're charging Office 365 at however much a year it is, at however many millions of people they've got, people go, oh, but they've got to employ developers. I said, but they're going to employ those people regardless.
Yeah.
You're not paying for that when you pay for the software, because they're already paid for.
Yeah.
They wouldn't be putting them on if they weren't already paid for. Everything that they're paying for is cream on top of that.
Yeah.
So. But
no,
so okay, so we have to look forward to a Linux program of the week now.
Yeah.
There you go. I'll try not to ruin it next. Maybe next week, tell me what it is so I don't ruin it.
Subconsciously on the same level.
Quick story, just showing how much Apple, their technology is on the ball, and they're full of advancements and
innovation,
full of features and innovation. Like it's fascinating that. Anyway. So how to use Apple's, and this is, as the article wrote it, I'm not ad-libbing here, how to use Apple's mind-blowingly magical universal control to control your iPad from your Mac.
Whoa.
Yeah. So the latest software update to the Mac and the iPad has enabled a feature. And once again, this is what the article says. Not to sound too cliche, is downright magical the first time you use it. Universal Control allows you to share your Mac's mouse and your keypad with your iPad. That means that when you move your Mac's pointer beyond the edge of your screen, it will automatically switch to your iPad and allow you to use iPad OS.
Whoa. That's amazing.
I'm sorry, I can't.
That's magical, like Disney level.
I can't do it with a straight face. I tried. So you've got to update to macOS 12.3 and iPadOS 15.4, and then you've got to go and enable a setting. And that's about the end of it. But mind you, wow, how big is this article? Holy crap. It's like...
The universal clipboard annoyed me, though, because I didn't know it was a thing. So I went and copied something on my PC, and I copied something on my phone, and the phone overrode my clipboard on the PC because it was copied afterwards, and I went to hit paste. I'm like, why is it pasting something from... Wait,
yeah, that'll catch you out if you're not aware of that. So basically, Apple has, in their latest software updates, has released something that I've been using for 15 years.
Yeah.
On most of my devices. Like, I use it daily. Like,
because this is innovative and new.
The first time I used it regularly was when I had my Nokia N95.
Yeah.
That's got to be at least 10, no, I mean more than 10 years. Happy 15 years ago.
Yeah.
I used it even before that on some of my phones, but started using it regularly on my Nokia N95. And every phone I've had since, I use it on a regular basis. And not only that, you can also use your phone to control your PC.
Yep.
It works both ways. Even more magical than magical.
And it also sends you notifications to your PC, and you can reply to text messages and stuff.
Text messages. I can make phone calls from my computer from my phone.
Yeah.
Like it connects to my phone. If I want to make a phone call and I've already got my headset and mic, I can just dial a number on my computer and it'll work. Send them through my phone.
Yeah. I could if I had Bluetooth on my motherboard, but it turned out that the one that I bought didn't have Bluetooth.
No, it just works over Wi-Fi.
I
don't have Bluetooth on this either. It just works over Wi-Fi because you're already connected. And you can send a text message, but I can also click a button and do a voice call. I can use my phone as a webcam. I can use it and it's over Wi-Fi, or I can plug it in over USB and do it that way as well. And it's actually, well, obviously it's less lag if you do it that way.
Yep.
I can send files backwards and forwards. I can, I like using it sometimes, not so much the phone, but tablets are really good to use as an extra monitor because they're, especially the bigger ones, because they're big enough you can put it over there and you can have like a full, it's useful for like if you just want to keep an eye on something like the radar, or you want to keep a quick eye on your Facebook feed or something. You can't necessarily specifically read it when it's sitting there, but you can glance at it and you get an idea of what you want to do. Then you just drag that window across back onto your computer again.
Yep.
So none of this is new or anything, but apparently it's
except for the Apple ecosystem.
But then again, how long did it take iPhone to have copy and paste?
Yeah, forever.
Like it was 2 or 3 renditions of iPhones before that become a thing. I don't. Lucky people don't pay much for these things.
No,
oh wait,
you wouldn't want to.
I'm sorry, but it's just the more of this sort of stuff I see, the more reason I have to not use Apple products.
Yeah.
But they're not even trying anymore. They're just like, hey, these guys have been doing it for 15 years. Maybe we should see if we can do it.
And then call it innovative.
And call it
magical.
It's magical and mysterious. An unknown technology.
That's bloody ridiculous, mate.
Like they're literally saying that like this guy who wrote this article is who is it? Jason
iFanboy.
Jason Cipriani. He's clearly a iPhone fanboy because like he's like, oh, I'm never going to use my PC again. I'm only even going to use my Mac from now on, and like, real settle down, dude. It's
if I put
okay.
Linux on it.
You're allowed to like 2 things.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Anyway, thanks for listening to the Aussie Tech Head Show. We can be found at Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Patreon, and Coffee. Email us willowarlock@aussietechheads.com.au and go to aussietechradio.com 24/7 playback of tech-related shows. We'll see you next time.
Bye.